cylinder engraved with 3 A's framed within a circle. The A's stand for our most treasured roles, listed here in order of importance: autodidacts, anarchists, atheists. The following motto is engraved underneath the cylinder: "In this false world, we guard our lives with our deaths." The motto also appears at the bottom of a still life of a mallard hung from a noose, completed by my great-great-grandfather, Shams Abbas Hosseini, in the aftermath of Iran's failed constitutional revolution at the turn of the 20th century. Upon finishing the painting, he pointed at it with his cane, nearly bludgeoning the mallard's face with its tip, and, his voice simultaneously crackling with disillusionment and fuming with rage, famously declared to his son, my great-grandfather, Arman Abbas Hosseini, "Death is coming, but we literati will remain as succulent as this wild duck." This seemingly futile moment marked the beginning of our long journey toward nothingness, into the craggy pits of this measly universe. Generation after generation, our bodies have been coated with the dust of death. Our hearts have been extinguished, our lives leveled. We are weary, as thin as rakes, hacked into pieces. But we believe our duty is to persevere against a world hell-bent on eliminating the few who dare to sprout in the collective manure of degenerate humans. That's where I come into the picture. I, astonished and amazed at the magnitude of the darkness that surrounds us, am the last in a long line of valiant thinkers. Upon my birth, the 5th of August, 1982, and on its anniversary every year thereafter, as a rite of passage, my father, Abbas Hosseini, whispered a monologue titled "A Manifesto of Historical Time and the Corrected Philosophy of Iranian History, a Hosseini Secret," into my ear. I include it here, transcribed verbatim from memory. "Ill-omened child, I present you with the long and the short of our afflicted country, Iran, supposed land of the Aryans. In 550 B.C., Cyrus the Great, king of the 4 corners of the world, brave and benevolent man, set out on a military campaign from the kingdom of Anshan in Parsa near the Gulf, site of the famous ruins of Persepolis, to conquer the Medes and the Lydians and the Babylonians. Dariush and Xerxes the Great, his most famous successors, continued erecting the commodious empire their father had begun through the peaceful seizing of neighboring peoples. But just as facts are overtaken by other facts, all great rulers are eclipsed by their envious competitors. Search the world east to west, north to south, nowhere will you find a shortage of tyrants, all expertly trained to sniff out weak prey. Eventually, Cyrus the Great's line of ruling progeny came to an end with Alexander the Great, virile youth whose legacy was, in turn, overshadowed by a long line of new conquerors, each of whom briefly took pleasure in the rubble of dynasties past. Every one of us in Iran is a hybrid individual best described as a residue of a composite of fallen empires. If you were to look at us collectively, you would see a voluble and troubled nation. Imagine a person with multiple heads and a corresponding number of arms and legs. How is such a person, one body composed of so many, supposed to conduct herself? She will spend a lifetime beating her heads against one another, lifting up one pair of her arms in order to strangle the head of another. We, the people, varied, troubled, heterogeneous, have been scrambling like cockroaches across this land for centuries without receiving so much as a nod from our diverse rulers. They have never looked at us. They have only ever looked in the mirror. What is the consequence of such disregard? An eternal return of uprisings followed by mass murder and suffocating repression. I could not say which of the two is worse. In the words of Yevgeny Zamyatin, revolutions are infinite. By the 20th century, the Persian Empire's frontiers had been hammered so far back that the demarcating boundary of our shrunken nation was bruised. It was black and blue. Every fool knows that in order to keep surviving, that which expands has to contract. Just look at the human heart. My own, reduced to a stone upon the double deaths of my father and my father's father, both murdered by our so-called leaders, is plump and fleshy again.